Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Clay Sweet with FFL Guardian. I'm here with Erica Haynes. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about phone script as well as in-home. We're going to talk with a new agent, Erica Haynes, about her phone script. Just the other day, she was able to book 17 appointments in one day just off instant leads. We're also going to talk about in-home. We're going to go through her in-home. She's paid over $20,000 in her first 2 weeks of the month. So definitely want to get some tips and tricks from her. So Erica, thank you very much for joining us and appreciate the time. So yeah, just want you to kind of take it away as far as what your mindset was in the beginning, being a brand new agent, kind of what you expected going into it, what it actually was, kind of what your first couple days in the business were like with dialing, and then kind of walk me through up to now, how your confidence has grown, and just kind of walk me through the process.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So I was terrified in the beginning. I've never done any kind of sales or phones, insurance, anything like that. So going in, I just want to be prepared as possible. So doing a lot of training online, listening to podcasts like these, and just preparing myself. And going into my first day, I think the biggest thing for me was knowing that everything had been set up. All I had to do was just repeat everything that all of the things that top producers were already doing. So I knew going into day one that I wanted to book 15 appointments. I was not leaving until I booked 15 appointments. I happened to be lucky, and I went in on my first day. I bought 80 brand new leads, dialed right at 8 o'clock, and by 1 p.m. I had 15 appointments on my books.
Now let me stop you right there because
Sure.
that's typically not the way it goes. So, but I kind of want to back up a little bit and kind of just talk about mindset. You're a single mother. You live an hour and a half or hour and 20 minutes or something like that away from the office. You did not start dialing at 8 o'clock that day. You started a little bit earlier than that. You asked what I would do. Erica, I have the pleasure of working with Erica, and she asked me what I would do on my first dial day. And I said I'd be at the office at about 7:30, 7:40. I'd start dialing at about 7:45. You did exactly what you were supposed to do that day. You showed up. You had a great attitude. You made the drive. I think we all can agree there's agents out there that don't want to make drives and don't want to go the extra mile. So that in and of itself is just a great mindset to have going into dial day one. Now you did have a great day. I'll admit that you had a great day, great dial day in the beginning, right?
My second day wasn't as great.
I was gonna get to that. I was gonna say it was a very big high, and then the very next dial they kind of walk me through because we want to be real here. We want to we want to kind of tell the experiences what a new agent goes through because at the end of the day this is a process, right? This is very much a process, but as long as you believe in the process, you know it's gonna be okay. So kind of walk me through day two and maybe some of the challenges and what you did to overcome those challenges.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was that I didn't buy all fresh leads. I had the mindset that I had bought 80 leads. I had only booked 15. There had to be a lot more that I could have booked. So I only bought another small batch. I think I bought maybe 20 fresh.
Okay.
So when I went in, I dialed those fresh, booked appointments right away. And then towards the end of my day, I was sitting at like 8 or 9 appointments.
So is it fair to say that maybe, if looking back, that maybe you should have gone back into the CRM or tried to set yourself up for success by stacking the deck in your favor, by having more leads than what you had and buying new leads and getting the instance and doing all that? Do you think that would have made a difference on that dial day?
Absolutely. I said earlier that I was lucky, but really it wasn't. I was just smart, and the leads did the work for me.
Oh,
you
great
need to
answer.
have You need to have fresh leads to be able to book a lot of appointments.
Okay, so being a new agent, you're very new to FFL. You're very new to the insurance industry, and I think you agree and know, watching from afar, that I know that you buy a lot of different leads. Okay, so kind of walk me through your experience with the instant leads. Those are newer to FFL. We all love the instant leads. They're all throughout the CRM. We try to buy them as often as possible, but kind of walk me through your experience with the instant leads and how that's been on the phone and kind of what your mindset is with those specific leads going into it.
They're the best leads. I was looking at my sales just last week, and they make up over 80% of my business.
80% of your business.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I've invested in multiple lead types, Bang Bang, Happy Agent, the old mortgage leads. I've done them all. And really instant internet life leads, they're not confused. When I call, they know what they want, and I'm going to go to their house and I'm going to get it for them.
Awesome. And I think that's such an important point is that although we do love all of our lead vendors, we do love all the leads that we have. I do think that FFL has done a great job of providing even better value for what we're getting. $11 leads is crazy. I know when I started, we only had a couple different lead options available to us. So the fact that coming in as a new agent, you have so many variety to choose from, whether it be 3-month age mortgage or brand new mortgage or final expense or instant. So, okay, so let's kind of back up here and kind of talk to me about your phone script. So would it be fair to say that phone script, how would you say that your phone script has evolved since you started day one to day now? Have you made any adjustments? Obviously, you feel more comfortable on the phone. Are you saying things differently? Do you feel more confident? What do you think is the difference between day one Erica on the phone and day 60 Erica?
My answer is probably going to surprise you, but I actually do less now. I was making it way more complicated than it needed to be.
Okay.
And I was booking, but I think now it's more just to the point. I don't try to fluff it. I don't try to be their friend over the phone. I stay very even throughout my whole conversation. Don't get excited. I don't get upset. I'm there for a reason, and it's to book the appointment.
So you would agree that less is more.
Less is more.
So that's kind of we'll talk about in home, but that's a big thing for me in the home as well. We'll get there, but that's so important. I think that as a new agent, you're nervous and you feel like that you can talk them into the appointment. And I know when I started that I had people like Julius Gilger and Grady Paulson saying, you don't need to talk so much. You're simply telling them why they filled out the form, right? So why do you need to talk to them more than you have to? You tell them why you called. Mm-hmm. They know why you called. You're telling them why you need to come over. And you're coming over. You're cementing the appointment and you're done. You're off the phone within a minute. You should have a stopwatch and make sure that you're off the phone within a minute. Anything over a minute or two, and you're probably not going to book the appointment. So
I believe you can talk your way out of it.
Exactly. That's a great point. And I think that all of us are guilty of doing that. So, okay. So I think the viewers would be interested in seeing like what your phone script is. I think that we all kind of run off the same phone script, but I would love to hear you go through your phone script with me. Make sure that you obviously we're cementing the appointment, we're doing all of that, but I just kind of want to hear what your phone script sounds like, and then we'll kind of address anything that we need to address.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hello, Clay.
Yes.
Hi, Clay. This is Erica. I'm just getting back to you regarding the online request you had submitted for the new state-regulated life insurance programs. I'm the field underwriter, and I'm just verifying your information so I can get this out to you. Okay. I see here that your date of birth is March 16th, 1985. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. And I have your address as 777 6S Lane. Is that correct as well?
Yes, that's correct.
And is that a house or an apartment?
It is a house.
Okay. And then, Clay, do they have you working still, or are you retired?
I'm still working.
Okay, still working. Now, are you working Monday through Friday, part-time, full-time? Tell me what that looks like.
I work a normal Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
Okay, perfect. So on a normal day, you're typically home about 5:30, 6 o'clock?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Oh, okay, great. And then, Clay, I don't see here, are you single or married?
I am married.
You're married. Okay, great. So, Clay, these plans are all non-medical. So what that means for you is you don't have to go to the doctor. There's no blood, urine, anything like that. They make me simply just make sure you are who you say you are, and I'll ask you a few questions and then be along my day.
Okay.
Right. So sounds simple enough. So what I'm going to do is I am actually dispatched out in your area tomorrow and Thursday. I have an appointment on 5 or 5:30 tomorrow. Which time works better for you?
5:30.
5:30. Okay. And then is your wife going to be home at 5:30?
Yeah, she stays home with the kids.
Okay. Okay, great. So Clay, do you happen to have a pen near you?
Give me 1 second. I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So Clay, what I want you to write down is my name. My name is Erica, and I work with Family First.
Okay.
And our appointment is going to be for tomorrow at 5:30.
Okay.
And then I am going to give you a confirmation code. It is KJ0912. Clay, can you read that back to me?
KJ0912.
You
That
got
right?
it.
Okay. Go
Yep.
ahead.
And are there any gates or dogs that I need to jump through to get to you?
No, I have a little chihuahua, but nothing too scary.
Okay, great. And there's no reason why you and your wife wouldn't be home tomorrow about 5:30?
No, nothing that I could foresee. We'll be there.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, I look forward to helping you then.
Perfect. That was great. You were in control. You told me why you were calling. You addressed the fact that you were dispatched out in my area. You made sure to get to where you knew I was going to be home without asking too many questions. You knew you were kind of walking me into that appointment. You asked me, do I work a typical 9 to 5? You asked me, when do I usually get home? So that you know that if I'm home at 5 o'clock, that you have a 5:30 or 6 o'clock available. Okay. So that's so key because you don't want to have to backpedal. You don't want to say, I've got a 4 o'clock available and the client goes, well, I don't get home till 5. And you're, oh, okay. Well, let me, you don't want to do that because that keeps you on the phone longer. So great job on that. Now, I do kind of want to take it into, how do you feel like you've evolved on the phone? Where do you think that do you think confidence? You already mentioned, how you're less is more. What are some things that you used to do maybe that you no longer do on the phone? Just real quick, a couple things that you're like, I don't want to do that anymore because I'm not booking when I do that. Is there anything that kind of comes to mind that you were doing, maybe talking too much? Obviously, we already addressed that.
Yeah, I was talking too much, and I know I sounded a little bit nervous right then, but I think the thing that I do differently now is I used to feel like I needed them, and I switched the mentality that they need me.
That's so true.
The other thing is that I was so concerned to make myself available for them. And the moment that I felt it was an inconvenience to me and they needed to fit into my schedule because I'm busy and I'm driving and I'm seeing a lot of families, that was the moment that I was able to consistently book anywhere from 14 to 15 appointments on dial days.
That's so true because there's a term called commission breath, right? And but there's also, I don't even know what the term would be, but like when you're on the phone and you're thirsty to get over to their house, right? They can pick up on that, right? If you're like, I've got to come see you. When are you home? They can tell, and it's just a big turnoff. Even if they wanted the coverage, you might blow that because you seem too eager.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of trainings where the people that sell a lot are really good and controlled on the phone, and it's almost like you're setting up the appointment over the phone. You're in control you're in control on the phone, and you'll be in control on the phone in the home. So you're kind of foreshadowing the way it's going to be in the home as well. So
I think it's being very matter of fact. Like I'm just here to do a job.
Yep.
And when are you available?
They need me to come out and verify. It's
Yes.
them. They need me to come. I'm just trying to do my job. It's not salesy. I'm an hourly employee just like you, trying to get over to see you and help you out, right? So, okay, great job. There's no surprise why you're booking the way that you are. I want to kind of move on to the in-home, okay? You've definitely, you kind of came out the gate swinging in the in-home too. I mean, you were kind of an anomaly. You came out, I think your first 7 days, what'd you submit, like 13K or something like that? It's pretty great. Now, same thing with the phones. It was a big high and then kind of a dip.
It was.
So kind of walk me through what your mindset, let's kind of go over what it was like what you thought the in-home was going to be compared to what it actually was. I mean, you get your license, eventually you're going to be in people's homes, you go through all the training, you spent time with me, we did our onboarding, like kind of walk me through the first couple homes that you went into and what that was like and how you felt. And then we'll kind of move over to like what your in-home looks like.
Yeah, I think in the first couple of homes, I made a lot of friends and not a ton of sales. So I think my biggest struggle in the very beginning was understanding that I was there to fill a need and not to have a conversation with them. So I can't stress that enough, that my personality, I think going in, I assumed I'm bubbly, I'm energetic, everyone's going to love me, everyone's going to buy from me. And in reality, the people that liked me most were the ones that actually didn't buy from me.
Yeah, it's like you left with a friend, you didn't leave with a client, right?
Absolutely.
And I think we're all guilty of that. I know that I was guilty of that in the beginning, that I thought that I had to talk about the guy's stamp collection for 20 minutes in order for him to buy from me. I thought that I had to talk baseball for 20, even though I could care less about baseball, I had to talk about baseball for 20 minutes so that Jim would buy an Americo policy from me. I mean, I think we're all guilty of that. And I finally learned that less is more. So kind of walk me through like how that kind of shifted, what you started kind of picking up on in the home that kind of started working for you. Once again, you did kind of do well in the beginning, and I think you ran your numbers. So even though the bad habits were there, you ran your numbers. So you still got away with some sales, and maybe the next week you didn't have as many of appointments. So the bad habits kind of shined. Is that kind of a little bit more accurate?
That's exactly what happened. Is I made sure I had the numbers there, and so the behind the scenes, nobody sees that I made a friend at house 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I eventually made a sale. So I think that was the biggest thing in the beginning, and the thing that I changed was my posture. So I had a conversation with you as well as Nina, and I knew that it was me that was doing something wrong, because at this point, I was setting the appointment. It wasn't taking me days to fill my calendar. I was setting my calendar in one day, and I was going in and I was seeing families, and I was walking out confused why I wasn't making a sale. And so instead of make excuses, I looked within and decided, okay, this is something I'm doing, and what can I do better? And I think the biggest consistent answer was be in control, and I definitely wasn't. You hear the trainings, go to a table, sit here, and it's very easy to just go with the flow when you walk in. And when you go with the flow is when you don't make a sale. This is designed brilliantly. So if you just follow the design, it's going to be there.
And I think that's so true, is that even, I've been doing this for a little bit, and I've run a lot of appointments, and even I sometimes will be in the home and I'll be kicked back and I'll be piddling on my phone, and I'll be, I'm having a conversation because in my brain I'm like, well, I've done this a million times, but I didn't stick with the fundamentals. Yeah. And I left with a friend, and I didn't leave with a sale, and I didn't leave with a client, and that's the most important thing, is we're going in there. I have plenty of friends. I don't need any more at this stage of my life,
Right.
So, that's so true. And over talking, you hit the nail on the head. Talking yourself out of a sale. Talking yourself out of an appointment. And I think it's a nervous reaction. I genuinely think that it's a nervous, you don't know what you're doing yet. But then over the course of time, you walk in and you're structured. You know that you're supposed to let them know you're not, please turn off the TV. I'm taking my shoes on or off. We're going to the kitchen table. I'm making sure that both of them are facing me, so I'm not doing this the whole time. I'm making sure that I'm letting them know why I'm there, letting them know that I'm busy, qualifying myself with my license, my credibility sheet, making sure that I let them know that at the end of this meeting that we are going to submit an application, and I'm not sitting leaning back talking about the cat, I am very much focused, and I think you've kind of switched to that because you are starting to sell at a high level. So kind of walk me through your in-home, okay?
Sure.
So I kind of foreshadowed a little bit about so let's talk about once you've got to the kitchen table, I'd like you to kind of, you booked the appointment, right? So I'm 30, whatever I am, 85, 35. Okay.
You're 35. Okay.
All right. So I'm a 35-year-old. I've got a wife, 2 kids. We'll go over that, but just, take me through your in-home. Let's take a deep dive in this. I think this will help a lot of new agents. I really do.
What I do in this very beginning, I actually just started doing it consistently the last 2 weeks. And in the last 2 weeks, I issue paid $20,000. So I attribute that to what I changed.
Gotcha.
And when I walk into a home, I no longer ask questions right away. I sit down. I let them know who I am, who I work for, and what I'm there to do. And these are the 3 things I tell them. The first thing, I'm here to identify a need. I'd love to help you get what you want, but I'm here to get what you need. The second thing is affordability. There's no point in me helping you get something that you can't afford because you won't sustain it. And when you need it, it won't be there. And the third thing is that you qualify. So once we establish what you need and what you can afford, I'm going to help you submit an application, and then we'll see if the carrier will accept you. So at that point, I'm letting them know we're doing the application.
Okay, so that's great. That's great. So, need as opposed to want, right? So we all want $1 million. Doesn't necessarily mean that we can afford to get $1 million in coverage, right?
Exactly.
You're letting them know up front. You're foreshadowing what's going to happen in the appointment. I think that's so crucial, right? Because you're going to get rid of the objections. It's like, well, I didn't think I needed to make a decision today, right? So okay, so I'm sitting here with my wife, right? Go ahead, proceed.
Okay. So at this point, I start with beneficiary. I ask if you're sitting there with your wife, I assume I'm here today because you want to protect your wife when something happens to you. Is that correct to assume?
Yeah, I mean, she's a stay-at-home mother,
Okay.
and I just want to make sure that Mary's taken care of if something happened to me yesterday.
Sure. So I'm very assumptive. I already knew that answer, but I want him to hear it so he remembers why I'm there.
Okay.
Okay. I'll then ask, are the children going to be part of this? And then that's really all the friend talk I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm then moving right into the financial inventory.
Okay.
The financial inventory, I'm asking everything. I'm not skipping anything. In the beginning, I think if I was in a final expense, I would kind of, oh, what's your mortgage? Okay, and skip. No, I'm going to ask, do they own? Do they rent? And I'm going to understand their financial security because that's really what it was about. And in my mind, day one, if it wasn't a mortgage protection, why did I need to know that information? And now I understand I need to know that information because it helps with what they can afford. So
Okay,
that when they give me an objection of not being able to afford it, I can go back and say, well, Clay, we just went through your finances and you have X amount extra. Are you saying that this is not important enough to you to fit it into your bills?
Okay, so that's gold. Okay, so kind of walk me through how you do that. Like what exactly do you do? How do you find that out?
Yeah. So I ask what their rent or mortgage is, how much they make, and even if the wife, like let's say I walk into an appointment and the wife doesn't want any kind of coverage, they know that they just want it for the husband, I still ask how much she makes because in my mind, I'm going to be able to throw it back that is part of his income.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then I also ask, okay, so outside of that, what are your biggest bills? Like, how much would you say that you have in bills? So
That's great.
if-
That's great.
So if they tell me that their rent or mortgage is $1,000, they bring home $4,000 a month, and they have an additional $1,500 of bills. I know that they have $1,500 to play with. So at that point, that overcomes that objection.
That's so huge because I think that especially with mortgage protection, when I run a lot of mortgage, I'll run into homes where they like to even gloat that they don't have any bills. Like the house is my only bill. My cars are paid for. So they are giving me that information that I could turn around and say, well, look, Bob, you just told me you make $6,000 a month and your mortgage is the only thing that you're paying for. Like, so I'm a little bit confused as to why you can't afford this. Like, this is $100 a month. You make $6,000. Your mortgage is $1,200 a month. Like, I feel like we can, you say marriage is important, but obviously you're not showing that. So that's key. That's really great what you do there. So you go through the financial inventory, and then I really do want to hit on this as a new agent. I think it's so important as when you're dealing with your upline or the people that you work with, right? How would a new agent go about letting their upline know what's going on in the home? So let's play like you call me, right?
Okay.
How would you do that?
I would just let so here's the biggest thing that was hard for me to understand in the beginning. I was afraid of looking like a dummy. And I needed to realize that the client didn't know that calling you wasn't part of the process. So I feel like I needed to know everything day one. But now I understand that if I just implement, I'm calling my senior underwriter, he's at the office, he can plug in your prescriptions, and then we can just make sure we're going the smartest direction. It's almost like it's giving even more credibility
They like it,
than
don't
it's
they?
doing.
They
Yeah,
like it.
so it's definitely helping. So I'll call you. Hey, Clay, I'm with Tori. She's 55, a non-smoker. She's on atorvastatin and albuterol for asthma. As far as conditions go, the only thing she has is asthma, and that's it.
And I would say, okay, Americo Eagle Premier. And then what happens is magically, what happens after a month or so? You don't call me on those appointments anymore
Right.
because you have realized that, and that's so important for new agents to understand, is that it's going to get to the point where you're going to know what to write. It's getting you there. So you don't have to know every product by heart. You don't have to know all the different riders that come with a product. I'm going to do that for you. So
Yeah.
when a new agent sits on the sidelines for a couple weeks trying to study and make sure that they've got their flashcards for the John Hancock policy, that's not necessary because they're going to learn all that. Same thing happened to me. I come from a bartending background. I have no sales background. I'd never been in insurance. And my first appointment, Grady told me what to write. Walked out of there with a $1,600 AP and going, this is the best thing ever. So
Yep.
it's just so important. So, okay, so you've walked me through the process. You found my financial inventory. You called. Let's say I told you to write an HMS policy. Let's say that I'm 35. I told you to write an HMS with CBO.
Okay.
Kind of walk me through what you get off the phone with me, kind of walk me through what that would look like. Like what you're making the recommendation. Okay. Like I've told you what to write. How are you selling the client?
Yeah, so if I'm going to sell the client, I'm going to always give them two options if I can. She's young enough to do the cashback option, but understanding I want her to feel like she's making the decision. I'm going to talk through traditional mortgage protection with her and then traditional mortgage protection with cashback.
Okay.
Now, when I do that, I am going to talk about the benefit of the cashback, and I'm going to actually physically do the math of how much money she's going to be saving, circle it, and let her know, like, you're essentially getting protection for free. So most times they go with the cashback option.
So is it fair to say that if the husband's making all the income and the wife would be the one that would be in trouble, is it fair to say that you've kind of turned your attention to the wife?
Absolutely.
Because why?
Because he's not part of the conversation. And if the husband does overtalk me because maybe they may not be on the same page, I can hear the wife has a need and is afraid that she's going to have to leave her home with her kids. And the husband might be a little bit selfish in the aspect of he just wants the cheapest option. I will just say, with all due respect, sir, you're not here. She's the one that I'm concerned about.
So you're selling the wife, really, is what you're
Exactly.
doing. Okay, so they pick an option, you submit. Let's kind of go through how you leave the home. So
Yeah.
so what do you say? So you made the sale, you did a perfect in-home, you called your senior underwriter, told you what to write. They picked option one, so they wanted to cover the whole mortgage. Wife talked husband into doing it, begrudgingly maybe even.
Okay.
You're about to leave. How do you leave the appointment? How do you keep control? Because I think this is so important about, I would say thank you a lot in the beginning. And it hit me like, why am I thanking them? I'm the
Yeah.
one that bought the lead. I'm the one that drove over there, drove all the way to Buckeye. I'm the one that got in my car and they just rolled out of bed and I went over there, so
Yeah.
kind of walk me through how you leave the appointment.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said thank you, so
Good.
I might be rude, but so I make sure that I draw out exactly what it's going to look like. I don't ever tell anyone in the home that they were approved, even if I know, because I want the suspense and I want them to be excited about it and feel like they earned it. So I let them know that I put the application through. In 2 to 3 days, they're going to get a phone call from me, and the draft is going to come out. If they need anything, I do leave the acceptance sheet with them, just
Okay.
letting them know that I put the app through. I always write down what we went with, their monthly payment, and I reiterate if they need to make any changes, if in the future they know anyone that needs anyone. So trying to get referrals that way, always leaving my card. And I do let some of my personality come out in the end to kind of cement that appointment, make them like me. Because at this point now, the app has
You
gone
already
through.
have a client.
I have a client, and I want a client that likes me, right? So I've learned to make a friend, but backwards.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I do take pictures. I post them every once in a while, but I do take pictures with 95% of my clients. I just tell them that I want to save it so that if they call me, I know exactly who I'm talking to because I see so many people.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So I do that. And they're typically thanking me. They're excited that I was there. They're glad that they got coverage or they finally took the time to do it. So I walk out of the appointments feeling great, knowing I protected another family.
Okay. So we've gone through phone script. We've gone through in-home. Just kind of want to close this up. Appreciate you taking the time. Kind of walk through real quick when, I experienced this with you. You came in a green agent and now you're oozing confidence. You're talking about Hall of Fame. You're talking about integrity. I mean, you're all kinds of have confidence. You just have confidence. So if you could give one piece of advice to a new agent that's coming in like you did, that's coming in that's, sure about themselves, but unsure about the process and unsure about, well, what if I screw up or what if I look like an idiot in the home or, what if, there's a million what ifs. Everyone has their what ifs. What would you say to that brand new agent?
Don't be afraid to screw up. Just run. I think that is the best thing that you can do is don't dip your toe in the water. Just run right through and make mistakes, but be coachable. That's going to be the biggest thing to getting confidence is going through the motions, understanding that everything has been set up for us. It's just about activity and attitude. So as long as you have those two things, it doesn't matter how bad you think you are or how much you could possibly screw up. As long as you know that you have the attitude to win and the activity to get you there, there's no other way.
Couldn't have said it any better. Well, thanks for taking the time, Erica. My name's Clay Sweet once again. I appreciate all you listeners out there. I hope this helped. See you soon.